Hey guys, welcome into a very special episode here on BCP Plus. Lots to talk about this week, guys. Please share the stream, join the chat. There's a lot to talk about. Some things I wanted to talk about. Obviously, we have to talk about John Cena's not only heel turn, but big time promo on Monday Night Raw, which was pretty epic. I'm sure there's a lot of thoughts on that, guys. Please share the stream again. Let us know if I'm sounding good over here. I'll share it out to a few places so everyone can join. And guys, make sure you join the chat. I will share the chat along. And I guess what better way to start this out than, guys, what did you guys think of John Cena's promo on Monday night, or Monday afternoon, I should say, over here? Raw, what a promo. I have so many thoughts. Guys, please join me in the chat. Maybe we'll have some guests on. Maybe I'll shoot out the link to some people. But yeah, just an epic Monday Night Raw episode. We'll get into that in just a minute. Let me share this out to some people. See if we can get the crew out in here. And again, guys, let us know what you thought about John Cena's epic heel turn. All right, let's share this out. All right. So a couple things as I share this out. Real quick, as you saw, the RIP, we lost someone in the indie wrestling community. It's certainly something I did not want to not mention. It affected a lot of people. A lot of people are still very shook. And I didn't want to not say anything. At the same time, I want to be very respectful to those who are dealing with it, who are still shook. And that is, of course, and rest in peace, Vince Steele. I did not know him very well, but I did just want to take a second to say, anytime I did have a quick interaction with him, super nice guy. You know, sometimes in this business, you see these giants or these pro wrestlers, as you know, they like to beat me up. And you know, I'm always like, oh, is this person going to be mean or aggressive or whatever? And that was not the case with him at all. And he's just always a very nice guy. And I know a lot of people are still shook. You know, it was an eventful weekend over at the Mecca. Saturday, Mike Mueller, welcome in. How are you? The Mr. Perfect of the BCP, saying we'll bring it up on screen. And thank you, Mike, for joining. Appreciate you, bro. Rip Vince. Hopefully, this cause some changes in the industry and the legacy will live on. Yeah. And that's something I do want to touch on. I don't want to stand on a soapbox right now. I'll definitely get into that at some point. But over the weekend at the Mecca, there was an issue on Saturday, a medical issue. I had helped wave in an ambulance for one issue, and then Sunday we obviously lost Vince, and just a very scary weekend, eye-opening in some aspects. And at the end of the day, and again, this is not me standing on a soapbox. I think everybody right now grieves in a different way. Everyone's maybe looking for blame or solutions, or people are posting things or saying things about other people. And I don't think that's the approach right now. I think we need to take care of each other. And some of these things have been on the tip of my tongue for a while, and it's certainly not my place to say. I always try to be respectful and know my role. But I think in terms of the indies here in New Jersey, we could change some things for the better. We can do more to protect the talent. We can do a lot more things to make sure that New Jersey New Jersey pro wrestling is policed or monitored, not only by ourselves, but in some sort of fashion where, maybe there is, I know Shane Fair has already made this happen in some capacity, some blood pressure machines being on site. Maybe we should have paddles on site. And again, I'm not medical. I certainly don't know all this stuff, but there's just so many things that I think that we could do better. Not even just medically, but just to protect ourselves, to protect the talent. And again, certainly not standing on a soapbox or placing blame. I do want to send my thoughts and prayers out to the family, the people that were in that ring on Sunday, the people who are still shook. I've talked to many on the phone. I was not there on Sunday. I was there on Saturday. And you feel it, as a community in independent wrestling. And I just did want to address that. and say rest in peace to apparently just a great brother in the indie wrestling circuit. I know a lot of guys have been affected by this, shook by this, and it's our job to take care of each other right now, get each other's back, and we want to honor Vince. We want to donate to the GoFundMe if you guys can. We've all been sharing it. I'll try to get it up in the chat, and I think I'll leave it at that, guys. I just want to say, like we always say here, we always end the show, right? We say stay safe, stay positive, take care of each other. And I think now more than ever, and I hate to be cliche or being a Monday morning quarterback, as they say, but I think we really need to in the independents here. And I've always said it's the Wild West, Um, and I think we just need to be a little bit more policed, a little bit more regulated, a little bit more protected. As someone who dates a wrestler, as someone who's friends with in-ring talent, which I'm very respectful of, I just do want to say, and maybe it's not my place to say, but I do want to say, hopefully we can do more to um, protect everybody. And obviously things happens. There's certain circumstances, there's certain situations. I think this is not the time to place blame or people to I know a lot of people who grieve differently and get in their feelings, and I think we should be there for each other, um, and kind of change some things moving forward. If it helps save one or two people, if it helps protect one or two people, I just think it's time to have some uncomfortable conversations. And again, I'm not standing on a soapbox, but I think we need to. Um, I don't want to say find positives because there certainly isn't any, but I think we just need to have conversations, and I think some of us have started doing that, which is really good to see. And we just need to protect each other and look out for each other. And I want to shout out everyone who did respond to the medical situations over the weekend. We had some off duty or retired EMTs, EMSs on site. The referees all did great jobs, really just calling the matches or stopping things. So, again, I wasn't there on Sunday, but I just do want to address those things head on, like we always do. And I do want to again share my thoughts and prayers to Vince Steele and his family, guys. Again, the GoFundMe. You can really help the family out. I believe he had 3 kids. We can really help the family out, the kids out. Um, I've heard some rumors about some shows and whatnot and tributes, and I think that's great, and I'm sure he would want that. But I honestly just I think the first and best thing you can do just directly to the GoFundMe. I think that's the way to go right now. And we've already donated a bit. I know a lot of friends and wrestlers have, and if you guys could just donate to the GoFundMe in memory of Vince Steele. Rest in peace, Vince. Thank you for all you've done for the independent wrestling community. So I'll leave it at that. If you guys have something to say or want to jump on the matter, perhaps we'll have some people on. But let's talk about Monday night, I guess Monday afternoon Raw. It's always a weird segue. I apologize for that, guys. John Cena's epic promo. I loved it so much. Real quick, let's see if we can get a few more people going in the chat, because I do want to hear what you guys think about all this. I really do. We'll share this out real quick. We got the crew. All right, let's do this, guys. Lots to talk about. All right, so John Cena's epic promo. So John Cena, Monday Night Raw starts. Brussels, great crowd, first of all. They really set the stage. We start with the Monday Night Raw intro. We do the wide shot of the camera. The camera work's been phenomenal. And all of a sudden, there's almost silence, right? There's almost silence. Who are we going to start with? Who's going to come out? What's going to happen here? It was very, very interesting how they started this. And then all of a sudden you hear the very, very familiar John Cena entrance music. No different music, nothing out of the ordinary. And John Cena comes out from the curtain with, his regular gear. I think in the Brussels colors, which was very, very interesting. But he comes through the curtain and just the facials on him. And it was the little things. It's almost like from a production and director perspective, I just, instead of running to the ring, right? John Cena, he kind of walks very slow to the ring, but it's still that same shot of him. It's still that same shot of him going to the ring from behind with that camera angle. Sorry, I was sharing the stream out. For a drummer, I cannot multitask. He's going very slowly, goes to the ring, the boos, the John Cena sucks song. And to me, as soon as I see it, I'm like, wow, this is brilliant because you didn't change anything. We're expecting new music, a new look, new clothes, perhaps Thugonomics. I didn't expect Thugonomics, but we didn't know. And we wanted to hear an explanation from John Cena. And we wanted to know why, John, why. And he comes out and he drops the microphone, much like um, I see your comment there, Mike, saying, is Stu, the cameraman, out of a job? I don't know. I heard Stu was not happy. That's according to my sources there, Mike, is Adam Schefter would say. I did hear Stu was not happy about that. So, but I digress. That's a great point. But he comes out to the ring, Mike, and essentially we hear the boos and he drops the microphone. And I'm sitting here, man, like he comes all the way to Brussels. He's going to drop this microphone and not say anything. And that's going to leave us wanting more. That's going to make us hate him more. And he does it one or two times before he comes back, grabs a microphone and starts his promo. And he has a lot to say. And at this point in time, I'm thinking the way they open Raw with the wide shot, the silence didn't just hit his music. There was like that silence of like, what's going to happen? Who's going to come out? John Cena's regular music hits, which I thought was brilliant. Also, you don't have to take time to produce or change or write this song that's going to fit this in theory new character. Also the look exactly the same. You're still going to sell that merchandise. Love them or hate them, you're definitely going to sell that merchandise. And essentially one of the first thing he says, and there's a lot to cover here, so guys in the chat, help me out here. But one of the first things he says is, I'm not gonna change. I'm not like he addressed it head on. Like these are usually things that we don't hear the wrestlers say. Like, I'm not going to change. Like, I know what you guys are talking about. I'm not gonna change the music. I'm not gonna change. Like, I don't have to change. Like, I'm unapologetically me. And in some ways, maybe this is the real him. We'll certainly find out. I think there's a big redemption arc, especially if he is retiring at the end of this year. We'll touch on that in a little bit. I think there's so much room for a redemption arc. But I don't want to get ahead of myself. It would be pointless if we're already going there. He does this major heel turn. He comes out looking exactly the same. The entrance is exactly the same, except for the facial, which is great, the facials that he's had, but also just walking to the ring very, very slowly with the camera behind him. And even in that moment where he's walking slowly instead of running, man, that there's art to that. And I thought that was absolutely brilliant. Real quick, let's go to JVD in the chat. Yeah, dude, I'm a nuance guy. I think you said it perfectly. The pauses and subtle nuances of wrestling tell stories. Cena's the master of it. Yeah, and I think we kind of forgot that. Like, we knew that, but he's been kind of out of sight, out of mind until recently. We talked about the seeds planted in the Royal Rumble presser, where he was kind of like, hey, I'm going to be in the Elimination Chamber. And that was a little uncharacteristic, but I don't think any of us were like, ooh, heel John Cena. It was just like a little more unusual. I'll put it that way. And then sure enough, we saw what happened at Elimination Chamber, which, Kelvin and I talked about in depth here on the BCP Plus podcast. So now he's in the ring and said, hey, I'm not changing. I'm not going to be what you want me to be or what you expect. I'm going to be me. And he starts talking and he kind of touches on some things. He does the relationship comparison, which I thought was interesting. He kind of says, hey, like, I've been doing this for X amount of time. It wasn't good enough. And as he talks, I'm not saying I agree with him, but I kind of get it. Like he made sense. A lot of times these heel turns, and we've heard this one a million times, like, you guys turned on me or you didn't have my back and the fans are the enemy and da da da. But this time I believed it because, man, I remember so many times seeing Cena and just, it was just like he was beating everybody and he was the most popular wrestler and granting all those wishes, which is honestly the most important and amazing thing. And he's doing all these things and he's still getting booed. It was almost like he was unstoppable or, the fans didn't like it. Rest in peace, brother Vac, he would always say, who got me into wrestling. He has essentially said like Cena was never his favorite, but he always respected the guy. He always had so much respect going out there every night and doing his thing. He was never his favorite wrestler. And I think Cena kind of had that, I don't want to say negative connotation, but I think fans got sick of it, much like you can make the Rocky comparisons and whatnot. And I think essentially what had happened was you got the John Cena suck in the songs, and no matter what, for years and years, over 2 decades, we'll say, is he going to turn heel? Now's the time to turn him heel. The fans are against him, even though he was a good guy and doing all the right things, the fans were against him. And he finally, outside of interviews, addressed this head on to the fans and said, "Hey, you know what? Like, you guys, everything I did wasn't good enough." And I feel like he has a fair point there. You guys, everything I did for you, it wasn't enough. Nothing I do is good enough. And he starts using like that breakup dialogue, whether you yourself can relate and have used that dialogue, or you have been the recipient of that dialogue. It was like, "Hey, I don't like you anymore. Hey, I'm breaking up with you. Hey, this isn't healthy for me. You are this relationship is traumatizing to me. This relationship is hurting me. This relationship is not good for me." And it was kind of one of those things where you're just like, you wanted to be mad at him, but at the same time, you're like, this heel turn kind of makes so much sense because nothing he did was good enough. Nothing he did. We love John Cena now that he's back, but there was that period of time where everyone was booing him. Everyone was booing him. Maybe it was because of the 5 moves to doom. Maybe it was because he was invincible. It was too much. It was too awesome. It gave you a cavity. Um, and this promo made so much sense. I really got it. I thought it was different. It was interesting. He used the inside terminology, baby face and heel. Really just trying something different. It was unlike any other promo, although this has been done many times, where it's just like, "Hey, the fans, you guys didn't have my back, or you guys turned on me." Like, everything he said, it almost felt like he was waiting over 10 years or 2 decades to say this. And he finally broke and he finally said it. And it was kind of like, I get it. And he's not changing for us. He's breaking up with us. Although he didn't say, which I thought was interesting. And again, you have to kind of turn the page and learn more. He didn't say anything about aligning with The Rock or selling his soul or whatever that is. So he didn't hit on that. But guys in the chat, let me know your kind of thoughts on this promo by Cena. I thought it was very, very unique. I just think more so the art of it, the camera angles, the giving it to the crowd. A lot of the times, I think this is one of the first times, and correct me if I'm wrong, I've seen the crowd essentially play the wrestlers out. Like, we've seen the na 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 na, hey hey goodbye, but them singing Cody out or chanting Cody out all the way from the ring to the back, and then na 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 na, hey hey goodbye to Cena all the way to the back. I think that may be the first time in history where you see them essentially sing the wrestlers all the way out. They didn't hit Cody's music. They didn't hit Cena's music. To me, it felt like it was one of those things where they were gonna like, no, 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 like, hold out, like, let the crowd have this. So I thought that was interesting. I have a few more points on this, but instead of me rambling on, let's see what the chat says real quick. Mike Mueller, Mr. Perfect in the chat. Those merch checks were always good enough for yeah. And all joking aside, Mike, what did we do for him? I think he brought up, what did we do for him? I mean, we bought tickets to see him. We bought the merch. I did also like that he addressed the invisible joke. He really gave it back to us, and I almost feel like we deserve it in a way. Like, these are all the things that I've done in this relationship, John, but you still broke my heart. All right, Kelvin from the No Gimmicks podcast. Dang, I wish I could have come. Dude, Kelvin, Kelvin always sees the heel turns coming. Kelvin and I had a great talk about the John Cena heel turn. Kelvin, we'll get you on next time because I know, man, you have so many things you want to hit on. I know it, man. We'll get you on next time for sure. Dan Lehman, love Dan, even though he stole Saquon from us and won the Super Bowl. Congratulations. He's an Eagles fan. What do you got here, Dan? I personally didn't think the promo was as good as it was more location crowd. So, interesting theory, Dan. I don't necessarily agree with you, but you're coming from the perspective, hey, like, the crowd really built it up. Now, let me be fair, Dan, if you're still here in the comments, did you think it was not good? Were you a Cena guy? Did Cena, and I don't mean to be silly when I say this, did Cena break your heart? Like, are you mad at Cena? Like, do you think this is not the way to go? I think it was just so different. I personally enjoyed it. I think it was brilliant. And for me, I like things to make sense. Like Mike said in the chat, nuance is so important in professional wrestling. So that's interesting, Dan. I would love to hear more about why you didn't like it. That's very interesting to me. JVD, very smart. I don't even got to read this first. I know it's good. So JVD, Front Row Mafia says, I felt it did make sense. He told no lies. However, for the ultimate, not a genius observation, I would have loved if they tied You Can't See Me for 20 years into a payoff here. We finally see him now. Yeah, I like that people are saying that. And this is the real him and retire as such. So I think there's a redemption arc. I think he goes out like like that the fans kind of turn him back or so. There's going to be something. This is way too soon for this stuff. Way too soon to be talking about that. I just know it's his last year. I would actually hate to see him go out as a heel, but they're taking us on rides and directions we've never seen before. So what do I know? I just feel there's room for redemption arc at the end of this year, not anytime soon. Mike, Mr. Perfect in the chat saying, my favorite part of the Cena heel turn means Cody is correctly going to remain a babyface. That was a shot at Kelvin for another year. It seems that way that we have, and I think that also too, we're so focused on Cody being the one to turn and there's been I just want to say this, I addressed this on the last show. There's been a lot of cursing from Cody. Michael Cole even kind of used a unflattering term towards Cena. He kind of went off, which I thought was interesting, and I know it's on Netflix and we're getting a little edgier. To me, it's getting a little too cursy for me, just because I again, I have a lot of friends whose kids are really getting into it and the yeet and all that kind of stuff. So it's interesting. Real quick, Dan Lehman in the chat, guys, love it. I'm not a Cena guy, but I like the heel turn. That promo to me felt cliche. So I see what you're saying there. I touched on this earlier, Dan. It is kind of like you guys turn on me promo, but I felt like this one actually made sense, like the dots connected. But you said, Dan says, it was all your fault. You never liked me. And even when you liked me, you didn't like me. It's not me. It's you. Again, those relationship. See, me reading this, Dan, actually makes me like it. This is just, again, it's flavors of ice cream for everyone. Even just reading that, I like it because, yes, it is the cliche of turning on the fans or the fans did this, but he's using these relationship terms like it's not me, it's you, like these like breakup phrases. I guess it's usually the other way around, but it depends on your relationship, I guess. But fair enough, Dan. Lines like, what do I get? You dress like me. I don't dress like you. Yeah, big Calvin. This is why I need you here, man. You hit it perfectly. The lines like, you dress like me. I don't dress like you idiots. This promo almost felt like a middle finger to the IWC. Yeah, you touched on that. IWC, that's what it felt like. About the song changing, about the clothes. Perfect. I think you said that perfectly, Kelvin. Chucky, Daddy Daughter Entertainment. What's up, Chucky? Hope you're doing well. It made sense. I'm liking heel Cena. Yeah, I kind of am too. Selfishly wish the doctor of thugonomics would fully return before the end, but age does not support that. Hey, we'll see. Word life. Chucky, Ireland. Kelvin, what do you got for us real quick? Oh, firing back at Mike saying wrong again. John didn't change anything for a reason. Prepare your spirit. We shall see. Hashtag fight forever. Mike and Kelvin. Good stuff, guys. What else did I want to touch on with this promo before we move on? And guys, again, great job in the chat. Let me know what you thought about this John Cena heel turn promo. It was so good. I want more. I just want the correlation with The Rock, though. What does this have to do with selling his soul? I mean, you could connect the dots, but I want to hear it from the horse's mouth, as they say. I don't know if Cena's going to be on next week. I think he has a couple European appearances coming up. I don't know if it's in the next couple, but we need to tie this together with The Rock. Also, Cody coming out did a very good job. I kind of like Cody's angle here. It was just like, this is what I'm getting at WrestleMania, this whiny, you know what? Like, and I felt it was appropriate, and it also, like you guys said earlier in the chat, made Cody more of a baby face. Dan in the chat, perhaps I'll reserve judgment and see how heel Cena continues to form. Yeah, and feel any way you want, man. I think you're not alone in that. I've seen some other comments where people didn't like that. I thought it was a brilliant promo, but I also appreciated like the nuance and the environment of him walking to the ring. I'm going to wear the same stuff. I'm not going to change the music. And I'm sitting here like, oh, how are they going to do this? How are they going to change the music? What are they going to do? And it's just like, nope, not doing that. And he's like, I'm not changing for you guys. And I just thought I think it hit a lot of things and covered a lot of bases. And like I famously say on this podcast, I like when everything connects. That's just me. I think it's a fair point to say, hey, this was like a wrestling cliche turning on the fans, but I think he just made it come together so well. And it's unlike something we've ever seen. But Dan, I certainly want you to like what you like, man, and we'll see if I mean, I guess we're not supposed to like them, right? That's the whole point there. We'll see. Shout out Dan, who does a great job at ISPW. Shiny new toy. This was a seed being planted. Interesting, interesting, interesting. Very, very interesting. All right, Calvin, one step ahead as always. Anything else you guys want to hit on? Cena and Cody. Cody came out just honestly almost mic dropped on Cena essentially. And really, I got to shout out the Brussels crowd again. They really, really brought it. They added life to that promo. That's something, people are talking about it being a top 10 promo, one of the best promos of all time. It was one of my, in my fandom, and I didn't start to the Ruthless Aggression era, which again is very apropos because that's kind of the start of John Cena, right? So for me as a fan, and I was never like a Cena guy, but I always respected him. This made a lot of sense. So this is one of my favorite promos that I've ever seen. Real quick before we move on, JVD in the chat. What I don't want is to be sold that The Rock bought Cena. Tie it in a way that the turn was on his own accord. Yeah, and I think there's ways to do that because don't forget the parallels between The Rock and Cena. Cena had talked about in the past, he was bugging The Rock for not being there. Bugging is not the right word, but he was critical of The Rock for not being there every week, about being a movie star, for being a part-timer. Then John Cena did it himself and essentially apologized, or understood like, hey, I'm actually growing pro wrestling by transcending WWE and becoming an actor and doing all this. And this is allowing opportunities for other wrestlers or WWE itself to become mainstream. I ordered a coffee the day after the heel turn, and guess who was on the screen? It was John Cena smiling at me because I ordered a McDonald's coffee, and he broke my heart the night before. So it's very, very interesting. There's lots of ways to connect The Rock and John Cena and make it make sense instead of just like a buyout or something like that. Maybe he wants what The Rock has. We shall see. Cena certainly got a lot himself. Mike in the chat, I would hate for Cena to win the title as a heel. It looks like it might happen. We'll talk about that on our WrestleMania show. You win it 16 times the right way and sell out to break the record. We want to cheer that moment, not boo it. Maybe he doesn't want that though, right? Think about it. You've done it 16 times the same way. And I've heard this used a lot by people in press conferences and on the radio and Busted Open. And I think it's challenging himself to do so, because you said it yourself, 16 times this way. Maybe you want to try something different. Maybe you want to show your range. And he's doing that in real time, and I'm appreciating it. But again, we have to see it. I could make a case for him winning it at WrestleMania. I'm not saying that's my official prediction. I could make a case for him winning it. Especially when you've come this far, you got the 16. Why not break the record? They're all about, or in the past regimes, they've been about breaking these records. Also, let's not forget about Charlotte. She has what if Charlotte broke her dad's record? I think people kind of forget about that one. All right. Good stuff, guys, on that. I just want to say one more time, brilliant promo by John Cena as a heel. A lot of the things he said hit. They resonated, a lot of relationship comparisons, and just a great job by the production team on that. From the music to the camera angles to the walking slow to the timing, really. And commentary. We always talk about this on the Independence. Commentary laid out the whole time. Michael Cole wasn't reacting to everything. He certainly had a lot to say after the promo, but Michael Cole laid out the whole time, and Corey Graves, they laid out and let Cena have it. They let the crowd have it. So just great job all around. Real quick. Moving on, I think we just need to admit the truth. CM Punk was right all along. Hashtag toxic boyfriend. This guy over here. Kelvin in the chat. There are a lot of people who don't want to break Ric Flair's record. Even saying it wouldn't be as valid because he was in WWE only. Yeah, that's another point. Ric Flair won those championships in other companies or other places besides WWE. This would be all WWE, and that's probably something that WWE would want. So great point there, guys. Let's move on. I'll address the comments as well. Great conversation on that. I just wanted to say how brilliant it was. I really enjoyed it. What was it, like 25 minutes to a half hour of that opening segment? And it was just like, you couldn't get better from there. Great Raw. I think Jey Uso ran through Austin Theory. How the mighty have fallen. He ran through him very quickly. We had some great matches, great IC title match to end the night. But I did want to touch on Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, and Io Sky, that contract signing between Io Sky and Bianca Belair for WrestleMania. But Rhea interjects herself, straight up signs the paper. We've seen this before. or the contract. And I guess, is it legally binding? Is it not? Corey Graves said it wasn't. How does this work? What did you guys in the chat think of Rhea Ripley interjecting herself into this? As a fan, personally, I'll say triple threat. That's great. I really thought it was going to be Bianca v. Rhea Ripley one-on-one, but adding Io Sky to that, I think is absolutely brilliant. Did not see it coming. I think it was absolutely awesome. And I think a triple threat at WrestleMania has to happen. And again, Mommy, Rhea Ripley, arguably one of the most popular wrestlers in the WWE. I'd say third. I can make a case for Jay being one of the most popular. Roman, Cody, obviously, but Rhea is right up there. I go to these events, I see a lot of Yeet shirts, and I see a lot of Mommy shirts and a lot of Rhea Ripley shirts. Real quick, shameless promo, guys. If you're watching, if you only watch on Facebook, guys, go over to our YouTube, BCP Plus. Check out our interviews. Kelvin did a great interview with the Hardys, which I love. I talked to Joe Henry, had a recent interview with Casey Navarro. It was great. Check out our interview with Kofi Kingston, Nia Jax, Candice LeRae, Johnny Gargano. Go over to our YouTube right now. Share my post. You'll see it on Twitter as well, or Facebook. We're giving away a Yeet. I'm doing it right now. It's kind of almost looks like a fan right now. I need to do it. There we go. We're doing the Yeet right now, guys. I have a Yeet foam hand. It is really here. I will mail this to you, continental US only, for one lucky winner, randomly selected. If you follow us on YouTube and share our post, please. Again, we have the Yeet hand, doing some fun giveaways. I like to do that stuff around WrestleMania time, on the road to WrestleMania. Calvin in the chat. We got robbed, honestly. I also don't like that it looks like Rhea will be the heel in this situation. That's interesting. Calvin, man, I miss you. That's interesting as well. Bianca, we kind of talked about heel tendencies. What a great segment between her and Naomi, where Naomi kind of admitted everything. You got emotional, real tears. Some actors cannot do real tears. I always put wrestling acting in its own category. No disrespect to anybody. So there's that wrestling acting umbrella. And if you're able to cry like that, so much credit to Naomi on that promo. But again, I could make a case for Bianca still turning heel. But perhaps Rhea turning heel, to me, that doesn't make business sense to me. But again, John Cena just turned heel. He's probably still going to sell a bunch of merch. So what do I know? I had no read on that thing. What do I know? But it's a great point, Kelvin. Dan in the chat, it almost seems like they backpedaled and realized what they would be missing at WrestleMania without Rhea. So pivot, make it a triple threat. Yeah, to me, again, Dan, I thought it was just going to be Bianca Rhea straight up. And Io deserves this opportunity. Don't get me wrong. She's one of my favorite women's wrestlers. As well as Bianca. I've made the argument here, and I know I always get pushed back on this. I think Kelvin got my back. I think Bianca's one of the best, if not the best, women's wrestler on the planet. Give me Stephanie Vaquer as a solid number 2 or 3. Yes, I know Charlotte. But to me, we were talking about Bianca missing certain things in terms of emoting and character, and I think she's showing that more and more. But again, I think people want a heel turn. So that is very interesting. Rhea definitely argues one of the most popular, had to be in this match, though. Mike in the chat, Wrestling Logic states, I like that at the beginning of the sentence, Ripley is in the match now since she said, and again, I talk about wrestling acting, Wrestling Logic. I'm using that. That's a new t-shirt. States that Ripley is in the match now since she signed the contract that doesn't have her name anywhere on it. Right. Checks out. We got to get, so we got some lawyers in the indie wrestling scene. Shout out Journey Burke. The ESQ of the indies was actually brilliant and lawyerly. We'll have to get some of our indie lawyers on it. WWE has never been known to have the best legal department. Yeah, for sure. In storyline anyway. I'll leave it at that. Chucky in the chat, Bianca heel turn. I think it's still on the radar. I feel it too, Chucky. I really do. I only say that because of the cliche of wearing a lot of like the dark colored blackout. Yeah, for sure. Maybe like more heel colors. Yeah. Daredevil. If anyone's watching Daredevil, no spoilers. One of my favorite shows. There's a lot of nuance with the color and the dark color and the color red and things like that. Interesting, Chucky. Mike in the chat. Bianca's character growth has been great to see. I agree. It was one thing missing from her repertoire, in my opinion. Yeah. And we're seeing her range. And again, I love that segment. Go back I think it's 2 SmackDowns ago, Naomi and Bianca. Really, really good. Guys, I think we hit on pretty much everything. Raw was so epic, but you really can't go too much further from that. John Cena opening promo with Cody Rhodes. I just think it was absolutely amazing. I want to see more. I want to know what the connection to The Rock is. again, I just love the execution of that. I can't say enough times how great it was that he came out to the regular music with the regular attire. He wasn't like super uber bad guy. You know, Chucky was just talking about like the colors and the gear and what you would wear and nuance and things like that. There was none of that was seen. He wore, I think it was like the Brussels colors. It was like the Brussels, Belgium John Cena gear on sale now, available at WWE shop or at the merch stands, I should say. And he comes out to the same music, and I'm not changing. And like, I'm breaking up with you. And what I did wasn't good enough for you. And man, like, I get it. I get it. It makes sense. And he kind of deserves this moment to say, hey, it's my time to talk now. And it's my time to say all these things that I've been thinking and holding in. And it's like, we always talk about, when you're dealing with something that's like that soda bottle you shake and finally it's going to pop. What's the saying? You either die the hero or you live long enough to become the villain. It's a great quote. It's a great quote. Does anyone else believe in the third man conspiracy? Third man conspiracy. Interesting. Interesting. I'm not exactly sure what you're getting at, Dan, if you can enlighten me on that. And as you do so, I will get into my shameless promo. And great stuff. Thank you guys for joining the chat this afternoon. Just want to crank out a little Raw review very quickly and talk about that. Again, guys, if you can donate to the GoFundMe for Vince Steele, it's all over Facebook. I will see if I can get that going real quick. JVD just popped me with this weird segue. I hate to laugh. He just popped me with this comment. Cena sounded like my ex-wife. Bro, no comment from me on that one, but you just won the comments. I don't have an extra Jey Uso hand, but if I did, you would get it for the comment. We're going to have a winningest comment or something like that moving forward because JVD, you just won. Mueller, what do you got on this third man theory? So like a third man in the match. Is that where you're going, Dan? Let's see. The Rock is number one when he's. Oh, yes. Kelvin and I talked about this. Okay, I got you. The Rock is number one when he singled John. John Cody put up 2 fingers. Cena is man number 2. Also, we talked about him using like the John Cena 3. I think there's something to that. Also, with the 2, he turned this way. It's like that. Some people are kind of dismissing that. Oh, it's not that deep. I think it's absolutely connected. And I've said it a million times on this podcast. I love nuance. I love Easter eggs. I love things to connect. These are things we haven't really been doing until this latest regime, and I love it. I'm so here for it. Calvin in the chat, real quick. Does it make sense to change anything if you will be face again after Mania, right? It's an interesting point. It's an interesting point. I don't know if I think you're in regards to Rhea, I would assume that's what you're saying. But even with Cena, I keep saying I feel there's so much room for a redemption arc for him to go out on the highest note possible. Perhaps he has right. If you're the same, right? If you're here and you just get that big celebration at the end, he might not want that. I think he wants to challenge himself. And I think he's going to kind of be the heel and really have the crowd get down on him. And maybe he's going to, I don't know how, but he's going to have a moment of redemption or a moment of clarity or confusion where he realizes who he really is or how he really feels about the fans. And then you kind of see him rise and, there'll be a moment where he has to make a decision in the ring and he makes a decision and we start cheering him like crazy. I just think there's so much. I think we're just bringing him down to build him back up. That's how I feel just at the end of this run. I don't think he's turning face anytime soon. I didn't see the heel turn coming in and we should have. It was right there in front of us the whole time. It's very, very interesting. Guys, great job in the chat. Guys, please go over to the BCP Plus YouTube. We're trying to build that. We got some exciting things going on. Again, exciting giveaway. Yeet. So much more to talk about on the podcast. Check out our interviews with the Hardys. Kelvin did a fantastic job, as he says in the chat real quick. Double turn, don't mind me. Oh, whoa. Oh, man, Kelvin. With the double turn. Wow, man, that's almost too deep for me. That's almost too deep going on. Cena has lost his smile, Mike. He certainly has. I think we all have at some point, and we find our way back for sure. Guys, we'll leave it on that note. Again, check out our interviews with the Hardys. Great job by Kelvin. I got to speak with TNA World Champion Joe Hendry, Casey Navarro, one of TNA's newest signees. He's been absolutely killing it We're going to have a whole lot more coming into WrestleMania season. Slammiversary will be coming to town. We'll be all over that. Lots going on. UFL season starts back up. I know Kelvin, Tyler, Mike are ready to go. Maybe Kelvin will even get a talk to the final boss again. We'll certainly see. And guys, thank you so much, as always, for tuning in to BCP Plus. And guys, like we always say here, everyone stay safe, stay positive, take care of each other. We out. Peace. BCP is brought to you by our favorite store, Funkenstein Wrestling Superstore, located in the Englishtown Flea Market in New Jersey from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. Saturdays and Sundays, and online at FunkensteinWrestlingSuperstore.com. Get your favorite wrestling merch, retro video games, Ninja Turtles, Ghostbusters, G.I. Joe, so much more. It's our favorite store. Thank you, Heather and Dan, for sponsoring the BCP. Also got to welcome back our sponsors, the No Gimmicks Podcast, the podcast that keeps it 100% real 100% of the time. Check out our guy Kelvin, only on the No Gimmicks Podcast. Wrestling All Day, All Night is the best wrestling discussion group on Facebook. We provide more of a community feel here, and have wrestling fans introduce other fans to something they may not have seen before, such as old school wrestling, indie wrestling, Japanese wrestling, and so much more. We also strive to be a source of information regarding upcoming wrestler meet and greets and signings. And remember, we're open 24/7, all day, all night. Be sure to follow on socials and join the group on Facebook at Wrestling All Day, All Night. Welcome back our sponsor, Sweet Chin Musings. Sweet Chin Musings is the creation of the reigning, rarely defending, highly disputed champion of wrestling podcast, Mr. Perfect, Mike Mueller, and his tag team partner in crime, Luke Kudialis. SCM focuses on the in-ring product of WWE and AEW, no dirt sheet rumors here, as well as backstage news, predictions, and analysis of characters, storylines, and major pay-per-views. Old school fans, don't worry, we have you covered as well, with a look back on classic matches, top 10 lists, and interactive tournaments that let the fans decide who is truly the best of all time. You can find them at Facebook at Sweet Chin Musings, and check out the podcast on all major podcast platforms. Please welcome back our sponsors on the BCP Plus and the podcast, GPW Productions. GPW provides your promotion or event with top-tier video, audio production, live streaming, and more. I can personally vouch for them in saying they are hands down the best production company I've ever worked with, as they have and continue to work with the likes of AEW, GCW, StarCast, MLW, not to mention the majority of the local independent promotions here in the tri-state area. They can even help you film a vignette or promo for your persona or gimmick. And guess what? GPW doesn't just work in wrestling. No, they cover MMA, boxing, basketball, or any other sporting event as well. On a personal note, I'd like to thank Mike Sesko, Frank Leone, O'Neil Andros, and the team for giving me multiple opportunities to work with them and some of the best talent in the world. Thank you, GPW, and guys, book GPW for your promotion or event today at contact@gpwproductions.com. Please welcome back one of our favorite sponsors, Mania Club. Established in 2015, Mania Club is a WWE-recognized community for fans with an eclectic love for both the world of professional wrestling and raising money for Connor's Cure. During WrestleMania weekend, we host the official tailgate of WrestleMania while also celebrating the life of Connor McCollum. They are the single largest donor within the V Foundation for Connor's Cure, with over $150,000 raised. Please donate and join the Facebook group over at Mania Club on Facebook. Donate at jimmyv.org/Mania Club. Guys, please welcome in our new pod sponsor for the months of May and June, J. Adam Photography. Jay provides quality, artistic, innovative photography with a quick turnaround time. Be sure to check out his latest ISPW wrestling pics and much more stellar content. Right now, wrestlers can do a special portrait shoot with Jay in Sparta, New Jersey for just $50. Contact Jay at Jay Vogel on Facebook and be sure to follow him across socials. Thank you, Jay, for sponsoring the BCP. Guys, let's welcome in our new pod sponsor, Cooper Groove Grips. When you play Cooper Groove drumsticks, you get increased sensory feedback from your hands, so your grip will naturally loosen, but you have complete control. With that taking place, you don't have fatigue and soreness, which can lead to long-term issues. Guys, as a drummer, Cooper Groove is my drumstick of choice. Sweaty hands aren't a problem. Grip is good. Don't forget to check out their amazing Cooper Groove bats coming out soon. Guys, follow at Cooper Groove Grips on Facebook. Guys, please welcome in our new podcast sponsors, ISPW Weekly. where we dive deep into the world of ISPW, the crossroads of professional wrestling. Join Jumpin' Jay and Total with Tom every week as they interview the stars of the ring, uncover their stories, rivalries, and the electrifying action that defines ISPW. Be sure to check out ISPW Weekly on the ISPW Facebook page every week. Please welcome in our new pod and daily site sponsor, Twisted Shamrock Studios and Spa, located in Delaware County, Pennsylvania. Twisted Shamrock is a retro spa experience for the average Joe and Jane. Meet the next evolution of recovery and relaxation. Right now, you can try their introductory offer, where you can try a core service to include massage, skincare, facial, stretch therapy, body slimming, toning, personal training, and spray tanning for 30 minutes for just $30. This is perfect for our wrestling pals as well. Book today. Call 484-574-8868 or visit www.twistedshamrockstudiospa.com. Guys, please welcome back our returning podcast sponsor, USDN. USDN Podcast is run by USDN Chairman and the Council of Nerds. We bring you all the latest news and rumors from the world of nerds and consolidate it right here at the U.S. Department of Nerds. USDN is for the people, by the people, and of the people. Follow them at facebook.com/US Department of Nerds. Guys, please welcome in our new pod sponsor for 2025, the Ropes and Riffs Podcast, featuring Maestro John Cena, speaking with the stars of professional wrestling about their in-ring, tunage, gear, and so much more. Check out John's interviews with the likes of Lince Dorado, Mercedes Martinez, and so much more. Find the Ropes and Riffs Podcast on all major podcast platforms. Guys, please welcome in our new podcast sponsor, EM Collectibles, featuring live signings, collectibles, toys, and more. Be sure to follow them on Facebook and stay tuned for their upcoming events. Upcoming events right now, March 8th, Hernando Toy and Comic Show, the Hernando County Fairgrounds live signing with Super Crazy. March 22nd, Neg Dog Championship Wrestling presents Music and Mayhem in Hudson, Florida with special guest Super Crazy. March 29th and 30th, 2025 Syracuse Collectors Con in Syracuse, New York with Bill Alfonso, Gary Wolf, and the quintessential stud muffin Joel Gertner, March 30th only. April 5th, New England Fan Fest, and we'll have Buff Bagwell. April 13th, 2025, our premiere show, Bring Back the Memories Toy Show, and May 10th, our renowned 90s Wrestling Con in Morristown, New Jersey, guest to be named soon. Please welcome back our returning podcast sponsor, Inside Heat Sports and Collectibles. Learn from a legend, that's right, Howard Johnson from the Mets. There's a baseball clinic March 29th, 2025 from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Ages 6 through 14, boys and girls. Enroll now at the Maple Grange Fields, 36 Maple Grange Road, Vernon, New Jersey. Contact Pete for event or sponsorship information at InsideHeatSports@gmail.com. Warriors of Wrestling presents New Breed, Saturday, March 15th at Most Precious Blood Church in Brooklyn, New York, featuring WCW legend Vampiro and former NXT superstar Odyssey, FKA Odyssey Jones, with a special appearance by Boogie Woogie Man Jimmy Valiant. Get your tickets now at warriorsofwrestling.com and be sure to subscribe on